Yeah, let's go take a look at Wisconsin, the state that has won it for Donald Trump, a key battleground state. Here we are, and look, you can see 49.7% of that state. That's the highest, we believe, for a Republican for a long time, since the 1980s. It's a comfortable victory, 30,000 votes in it. How has he done it? Well, you know, you've got a mixture of things happening in Wisconsin. You go to Milwaukee, one of the population centers there. Look at that. Harris is winning that. She's not done as well as Joe Biden did in 2020. And there's a lot of votes there when it comes down to that 30,000 in total, not having that share, seeing that drop from how Joe Biden did. That's important because when you couple that in the urban centers, that fall in the Democrat share, and you go to sort of more rural counties, see what's been happening around these. Donald Trump increasing his vote share in these rural counties. And that is pretty much across the board. You keep adding those votes up, and you do get back to that big 31,000 number. So that is the state that has won it. But again, this is looking like it could be a clean sweep of all these battleground states. And that just speaks to the emphatic nature of this victory, because they're very, very different places. If you look down in Georgia and we look at what happened there, look, Joe Biden won that. Donald Trump has got that back. North Carolina as well, just above it. We look at that here. Now, Donald Trump did win that in 2020 against Biden, but he's increased his share again. And again, if we go look at Pennsylvania, now Pennsylvania was the really, really crucial one here. This looked like when this race was pretty much done, because it's got 19 electoral college votes. Donald Trump doing very well there, again, really reversing that margin of victory that Joe Biden enjoyed. And the question, because when you've got all these very, very different places, we haven't talked yet about these other battleground states, Nevada and Arizona. They are still being counted, although it looks like leads for Trump there as well. We start to think, well, why is this happening? Because this does look across the board. Look at this. This shows swings to Trump across the country. This is in counties where more than 95% of the vote has been counted. That is just a lot of red, a few little blues in there, but this really is across the board. I think, OK, well, is this the return of MAGA, Make America Great Again? When you think about Donald Trump's voters in the traditional sense, you might think this is people over 65. It's also white, non-college educated people. That's not really what we're seeing in terms of the demographics of this. This shows white, non-college educated voters, a lead, if it's red, that's for Republicans. If it's blue, it's for Democrats. And you can see when Donald Trump in 2016 won that, he had a big, big share. That's actually dropped to 31%. So he's not doing as well. That suggests he's doing better elsewhere. The same for over 65s. Again, you might think that's sort of stalwart of Trump's support, and it was again in 2016. But look, actually, Harris had a lead in over 65s. The question becomes, well, where are these new supporters coming from? Because this looks like a different coalition. This shows African-American voters who've always tended to vote Democrat, and they still have that Democrat lead. But look, it's down to 74%. That suggests Trump is picking up some of those voters. And look at this. Hispanic voters across the country. I think this is really, really telling. In 2016, 38% lead for the Democrats. This time, just an 8% lead, according to those exit polls. And that really matters, because this is across the country, and all these different voters, all these different demographics, they don't just vote as a block, they vote in places, of course. And that's what we've seen throughout the night. So let's go back to North Carolina. Let's take these states. You know, if we go to Nash County, this is a state with more than 40% of African-American voters. And that's a state that Trump has won, and he's won it pretty comfortably again, more than 50%. Joe Biden had won that back in 2020. Speaking of Hispanic voters, let's go to Florida. Lots of people here, and that's important in the context, of course, of the popular vote, which is going to be really important. Before the election, we said it doesn't really matter about the popular vote, and that's true because it doesn't get you to 270 electoral college votes. But it is a very important mandate when President Trump can say that he speaks for the majority of elections. And if you look here in this county, Osceola County, you can see that is, you know, it's got a big Latino proportion of votes. And look how it's tended to have voted in the past. There's blue, blue, blue. Donald Trump has turned that red, and that is a heavily Latino area. And that makes a difference, of course, in the swing states as well. So if we go over and we look, see what's happening over here. Nevada is still too close to call. Donald Trump has a lead, but look at what's happening in a place like Washoe County. Again, we see a similar sort of pattern. It's got a big Latino population. It has traditionally been Democrat. Again, Donald Trump has been turning that red. So that really speaks to the nature of this victory. It hasn't just been in those rural places, in those non-college educated places, in those 65 plus. Donald Trump has managed to bring new voters in across the board, and that is what has delivered him this stunning victory.